Is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free. To live your best life, you must live label free. And I'm back with another incredible guest. So sit back, relax, and tune in. My next guest is a fertility coach with over 15 years of experience and the founder of Fertility Solutions. Please welcome Sonia Ribas. Sonia, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really happy to be here to talk about fertility in a way that feels grounded and empowering and
Yes.
deeply respectful of the body.
I love it. And when we had our intro call, I think I said something that you agreed with, and we're going to get into that because I feel like there is a lot of misconceptions, a lot of negative labels around fertility. And so I want to unpack that with you since you have so much experience. But before we get
Mhm.
into that, tell us a little bit about your background and what got you started on this path.
Okay, absolutely. So I've been a fertility coach for 15 years now. I have had the privilege to welcome more than 700 babies worldwide through a holistic and highly personalized approach that's grounded in research and systems biology. The way I started, actually, I always say I didn't find fertility, fertility found me.
Okay.
So I've had different careers in my life, and one of them was I had a yoga company. And it was a streaming platform, but also I taught yoga on the side. And one of my yoga students, who was from India, at that time I was living in Boston. She moved back to India and she called me and she said, "My OBGYN tells me I'm never going to be able to be a mother. Can you help me? I'm devastated." And I said, "Well,
Wow.
honey, I'm a yoga teacher. Yes, I'm into healthy lifestyle, but I know nothing about fertility." At that time, I was 27.
Yeah.
And she said to me, "You are the only person I trust." And those words changed my life. So I started researching like crazy. And I put together my very first holistic program for her, which included obviously yoga and meditation because I was really versed on that, but also nutrition, supplements, and everything that I could come up with that could holistically help her.
Sure.
And not only did she get pregnant, but her labs improved a lot. So her OBGYN started referring people my way from India to the United
Wow.
States. And I was obviously not certified, know nothing. So I started doing these like to help people, just honestly to help. And one thing led to the other. I obviously got certified with, I became a health coach and a lot more certifications followed. And obviously then I had my three children, so I perfected the program over time. But yeah, fertility found me this way originally.
What do you think that you do differently that, modern medicine wasn't able to do for that client of yours?
Okay, so this is kind of like I call myself a fertility activist because of
Okay.
this. So, modern medicine, in my experience, and I want to be respectful to all approaches to fertility, but very often I see fertility is forced.
Mm,
Okay, so fertility clinics, the IVF industry force your system. See, they kind of like try to jumpstart your system. So when for example, when your car is not working, when your motor of your car is not working, you
sure.
take it to the mechanic and they try to jumpstart the system. So that's what the fertility clinic will do for you. It forces your system, it jumpstarts it. But what if your system is not ready to be jump started? What if there's
Yeah.
something, going back to the analogy of the car, in the motor that needs replacement, that needs cleaning up, that needs deeper work? So I do that. I feel that fertility challenges, fertility issues, it's not your body being broken, it's your body communicating. So I listen to that communication and I empower the system to resume, to go back to its original state, what we call homeostasis, which is the state in which all your functions work well.
Yeah.
And that's when we see pregnancies happening all the time naturally.
And so usually is it like a mental or emotional breakdown or disconnect that is preventing that body to go into homeostasis?
That's a great question. So for every person, it's different.
Yeah.
That's why we do a holistic approach here, where I'm known for leaving no stone unturned. Because for some people, it's going to be more on the physical side, right? Like some of us are nutrient depleted. For some people are very inflamed, so we need to address
Mm,
inflammation. Some people have hormonal dysregulation. Some people have thyroid problems. Some people have gut issues. You name it, like more like the physical layer of things. So obviously, we need to attend to that.
sure.
But a lot of the times, it's also stored trauma. So we have two kinds of nervous system. We have the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is the fight or flight.
Yeah,
Okay. And thanks to that system, we are alive today because that keeps you awake. If I go to
sure.
the street and there's a car about to run over me, my sympathetic nervous system kicks in and I either go back or I freeze or I start running. Okay.
Sure.
So I preserve my life. Now, the parasympathetic nervous system is your rest and digest. And that's what should be active most of the day because you are not in danger for most of your day.
Yeah,
The difference is that in modern life, your nervous system doesn't know the difference between a real danger, like a lion about to eat me, or a deadline at work, or I had a fight with someone, or I have a fertility challenge, right?
yeah,
So our sympathetic nervous system is overly active. When that happens, this is very inflammatory, number one.
yeah.
And number two, your body is favorizing only the functions that are essential for your survival.
Okay.
And guess what's not essential for survival? Your reproductive function.
Oh, okay.
So it
Yeah,
becomes optional. For your system, it doesn't care about whether you want to get pregnant or not. It says like, oh my God, she's barely making it alive. She's barely surviving. How is she going to now have the bandwidth to create a new life? No
yeah,
way. So it
yeah,
blocks a pregnancy. So we need, for some people, going back to your original question, the mental, the nervous system side of things, the emotional side of things needs to be treated.
yeah.
Because otherwise, I can give you all the broccoli in the world. But if you have a trauma that's unprocessed, your body won't allow you to get pregnant.
Sure. So when you're dealing with someone that you're having to first deal with the physical side of things, like what does that look like when you're working with someone that maybe has some physical inflammation or things like that that you have to address first before you can get into the fertility side of it?
Yes. Yeah. So we start with labs. So the first thing we
Okay.
do is actually look at how things look like. So we don't make up stories. We just look at very comprehensive labs. And I also have my women that work with me track their hormones daily.
Oh,
Nowadays, we have really good fertility trackers.
okay.
So first thing in the morning, they go to restroom, they check their hormones, and they send me a screenshot. So with those pieces of information and with their feedback, I build a personalized program for them.
Okay.
So if the issue is more on the physical side, so it typically has a component of nutrition. We can all improve our
Oh,
nutrition.
of course.
And actually, that's the fastest way to reduce inflammation. We all have a certain degree of chronic inflammation that we carry. So the first things we do is reduce that. We also have build a personalized supplement regime because even the best diets have some nutrient deficiencies. So we bridge those gaps. And then depending on what they need, we work from there. Okay,
Okay.
so there's always a movement component as well. I'm also a certified yoga teacher, as I told you before. So there's a lot of movement in my programs. There's a lot of pre-recorded workout videos. We call it activations, actually. So there's a lot of tools that we kind of like use, and they're obviously all of them have been proven by research. And I adapt it to my different clients so that we move the needle specifically for them, following the
Sure.
principle of bioindividuality, which means that everyone's very unique and a person's food can be another person's poison. So we need to adapt it.
Yeah. I love that. What would can you have do you have a more most the most complex person you've had to work with and like what that looked like? Because I think that for women that are out there, myself included, dealing with infertility is a very emotional and it's a very like draining process. And so if you can share a story of the most complex where you were able to get them across the finish line, where they were able to conceive, I think that is like a place to start for someone listening to this that might be struggling right now to give them some hope.
Yes, absolutely. So it's a very recent story. It happened last week, and I'm
Oh,
calling it one of the highlights of my career, even though I've had many highlights of my career.
sure.
But this one's very fresh in my mind because it's like fresh from the oven. So we're gonna call her M, for privacy, and the reason for that is that fertility world is very, very private.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I respect that. So M is 40. And when she came to me 2 months ago, actually, she came to me diagnosed in menopause, no menstruation at all. AMH, which is your anti-Mullerian hormone, which is related to how many eggs you have left. So
Sure.
that hormone was tiny, tiny, tiny. For those that know about AMH, it was 0.15, which is barely detectable.
Wow.
When a fertility clinic sees that number, they don't even allow for you to do IVF because they say we won't produce enough eggs. It's going to be a waste of time. So that's kind of like where we were. The FSH, which is the follicle stimulated hormone, was through the roof. So when that happens, they tell you, honey, you are in menopause. So she came to me with that diagnosis in addition to a thyroid condition. And thyroid is very complex for
Yeah.
fertility. Like if your thyroid's not on point, your fertility is going to get penalized with that. So it was a very, very difficult case. And obviously, she was completely like insecure, disempowered, and completely heartbroken with the
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
As I remember, like we took her in, and she was really skeptical, as anyone would be with that diagnosis and having been heard so many times, it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen. So she told me, you are my last hope. And if this is not meant to be, it's not meant to be. And I said, okay, well, I invite you to come here with a complete beginner's mind.
Sure.
You're choosing to do these, like, let's let go of the baby dream, like, not the dream, but like the baby obsession for a minute. And
Sure.
let's talk about you and getting you, get unveiling that best version of yourself. I want to see it. I want to see how you look being the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
So she said, sure enough, like I'm interested in that concept as well. So we started working together. I created a personalized diet for her. We started like addressing different things. We did a lot of what I call therapy, which is not like formal therapy, but it ends up being therapy of like what
Sure.
has happened, like unprocessing that. Sorry, unprocessing, like unpacking it all.
Sure.
And two months into the program, like last week, she told me, well, first of all, like let's take a step back. Her menstruation, her cycle came back. So I thought that's a miracle. Once you've been
Wow.
diagnosed with menopause, nobody thinks that holistically, naturally, your cycle can come back. It did come back. And I said, okay, now your cycle's back. Great. First milestone.
Wow.
Amazing. I want to see your hormones. And as I told you earlier, I have my
Yeah.
clients test their hormones daily. So I seen her hormones and I thought, and I managed her expectations. And I said, hey, your cycle came back. It could be that your hormones are not perfect right away. Like it
Sure.
typically takes a minute for your hormones to fully kick in and continue ovulating. The fact that you're bleeding doesn't mean that you're ovulating, by the way. A lot
Right.
of women get that
Right.
wrong. So sure enough, I started looking the chart, looks beautiful. And I said, go for it. Try to have intercourse because it looks like you're about to ovulate. So I kind of like in real life, I was guiding her through what was
Sure.
happening
Oh my
hormonally.
gosh.
And then last week, she told me, initially, she told me, my progesterone's not coming down. It looks like I want to menstruate, but like it's not coming down all the way. So for you to shed your lining, your progesterone needs to come all the way down. And I said, okay, let's test a couple more days. Let's see what's happening. Her progesterone stayed high. And I thought, is it really a pregnant? I was ruling it out because I thought
Wow.
it's too much. Long story short, she texted me saying, I'm freaking out, like 5 or 6 pregnancy tests. These like,
Oh
I
my
don't believe
gosh.
it, kind of like attitude. So I'm definitely monitoring her. Obviously, it's very fresh. But
Yeah.
the fact that we got here is honestly a miracle. This is the
Yeah.
kind of story that a fertility clinic would tell me, you're making it up. This is not
Yeah.
possible. And
Yeah.
here we are. It's
How
real
long
life.
how long were you working with her before she conceived?
In this case, 2 months. I mean, I'm not going to
That's
tell
it?
you that every case is in this case, yes. Not every case
Wow.
is the 2 months. Not every case is the 2 months. As a matter of fact, I just heard now before tuning in today from an old client. This one needed IVF no matter what for different reasons. And she did my program. During the 6 months of my program, she didn't get pregnant, but we knew she needed IVF. So before my program, she had had 4 failed transfers. She did my program. I hadn't heard from her in a while, so I was wondering how's she doing. And
Sure.
today she said, I'm 10 weeks pregnant. She sent me the pictures of the ultrasound. So the first transfer she did after the program was successful. In some
Wow.
cases, IVF is needed. I'm not going to lie,
Yeah.
but it is estimated that 50% of IVF cases are not needed. So when
Wow.
it's needed, it is. When it's
Yeah.
not needed, let's give your system a chance.
Yeah.
At least give yourself a chance.
So, I mean, that is just amazing. Like what a miracle and what a blessing you are to these women. I mean, like if I ever move down that path, I might have to call you up to to walk me through it. Because I started IVF with my late husband, but he passed away 10 years ago, so we never were able to move forward. And so I have like 19 eggs frozen from my 30s. And so like that's a gift that I have there, in case that I'm able to move that down that road. But like I've never heard stories like this before where I mean, how many women get diagnosed that are in menopause, you think, and that's a false diagnosis?
Ooh, that's a great question. I don't know if I can give you a percentage for that. And it's kind of delicate because it doesn't always come back. Like I would never, I mean, this was like, let's hope and let's
Yeah,
give it our all. But like I always say to women, hey, if the concept of unveiling the best version of yourself, to have that in your toolbox for the rest of your life, if this is appealing to you, then let's do it.
yeah,
But don't be obsessed with the baby here because the odds are not necessarily in our favor, even though we're going to give it our all.
yeah.
I yet have to meet a person that regrets having unveiled that best version of themselves.
Well, yeah,
Because once you meet that version of yourself, you don't want to go back. You
yeah,
just don't. And life happens, and at some point, obviously, you'll go off track. Everybody does, but it's great to have the tools with you that you can always kind of like reclaim that version of yourself when you want it.
yeah. And I think that like that's where it starts, right? I mean, you talk about that baby fixation, that hyper fixation on the baby, which I've been there. And I'm like, there's no
Yeah.
way. I think it's counterproductive when you're so fixated on the end results because it's really kind of almost shutting your body down, I feel like, in a lot of ways.
Totally. Totally. A lot of people think that fertility is like flipping a switch.
Hmm.
And fertility is more like lighting a fire than flipping a switch. So if you're going to obsess about something, and I understand, and we've all been there, obsess about creating the right environment in your system for the fire to be able to be possible and sustainable instead of obsessing about flipping the switch.
Yeah.
That is how babies are created. That is how a body says yes to a pregnancy.
Yeah. That's beautiful. What's the oldest client that you've worked with?
46.
46? Would you work with anybody older than that?
Sometimes I take it on a case by case. I'm very attitude dependent as well. So I manage their expectations and I say, hey, past 46, it's going to be difficult.
Oh yeah.
If you have a family, sometimes people do that. Like I have a client now who's 50 and she said, I don't care, like obviously I want a baby, but I also want the tools and I
Sure.
also want the journey with you. And as long as we are clear on what we're doing, right? I'm not going to promise you a baby if you're 50. I'm not going to do
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
But there are some women who tell me I still want to go for it. My cousin or my mom had babies at 50, and I still think that I've got it in me to try. And I'm like, I'm not going to be the person telling you no.
Sure.
I'm
Yeah.
not going to be that person. I will manage your expectations. I'm not going to sell you false promises, but I'm not going to be the naysayer. They've had so many naysayers by the time they meet me. I'm not going to be one of them.
Yeah. What's the average length of time that you usually work with your clients? Because 2 months, that's awfully quick.
No, yeah, that was exceptional.
Yeah.
Typically, so my program is 6 months. If
Oh,
after
okay.
6 months, if they're pregnant, I upgrade them to my pregnancy program because I also have a pregnancy program. If at the end of the 6 months they're not pregnant, they can choose to continue working with me or they can choose to continue on their own.
What is your percentage of like your success rate?
70%.
Wow. That's pretty good. Like what's like I mean I would love to know like what is a fertility clinic success rate because it can't be that high.
So IVF success rate unprepared, we call unprepared, and it doesn't have to be my program. It can be like properly prepare your system.
Sure.
If you're unprepared, your success rate is about 35%. IVF prepared, like as I told you, like for example, Jay this morning, the girl that's pregnant with IVF, IVF after doing a program like mine, or at least mine, is 85% success rate. Obviously,
Wow.
depending on the age, we can cut it into different statistics, which
Yeah.
which are impossible to memorize. But
Oh my God.
the fact that we get there at 70% naturally, I think is a massive success.
Absolutely. That's huge. It's unheard of. Oh my gosh, I want to scream this from the rooftops like, ladies, connect with Sonia. Like that's just so it's so incredible. I mean, because I myself have struggled. I started that process with my late
Yeah.
husband and it was just it's very sad and it's very hard and it's emotionally taxing. So like the fact that you're going to deal with the person first before really attacking like the fertility side of things, I think is so important because really there's very few of you around that are fertility coaches, at least that I've met. And I've met a lot of people.
Yeah, obviously, and everyone's got a different angle. For me, my angle is very, very holistic. Like, I don't just focus on the physical. I feel a lot of people just focus on the physical. I go way beyond that.
Yeah.
And also, I'm known for leaving no stone unturned. So, if we are going to obsess about something, I personally obsess of like not leaving anything that could be done, not leaving it undone, whether
Yeah.
it's at a physical level, but also mentally, emotionally, energetically, and sometimes even spiritually.
Oh yeah. I mean I couldn't well I think that you have to like with anything you have all those pillars have to be kind of balanced, right? If something's out of
Correct.
balance, it's gonna really kind of prevent like to move forward in a positive way where you're gonna have the highest success rate.
Exactly. Fertility follows balance. This is
Yeah.
one of my mantras.
Okay, I love that. And so if somebody wants to work with you, what does that look like? Do they schedule a call? Do you kind of go do like an assessment? So can you walk us through that process?
Yes. Yeah. So the first step, if somebody is interested in my work, is I have a 30-minute video that explains the three specific steps that my clients follow to get pregnant naturally in this time frame of 4 to 6 months. So they can go to thefertilitysolution.com, watch that video. If that resonates with you, after that video, you get a chance to book a call with us.
Excellent. You guys, I'm gonna put that link in the show notes. So also, if you're watching, it'll be here on the screen. So if you or know somebody that needs help with fertility, do not hesitate to go click that link, watch the video, and then schedule a call. Sonia, this is the part of the show I like to ask for last words of wisdom or advice. What would you like to leave with us today?
So, my last words for you guys, if you're trying to get pregnant, is to remember that when the body feels supported, it remembers what to do.
So simple, but so like just like to the point and so true. What before like I'm doing something a little bit different. There are a lot of labels around infertility, and I think that as women, as we're going through that process, trying to overcome it, what would be some of the things that you would encourage them not to hold on to?
Ooh, that's the million-dollar question. There's so many labels. Like, don't hold on to infertility. I say to women, you're not infertile, you're inflamed. So don't hold on to infertility. Also, fertility challenge, like the word infertility is horrible. But
Yes.
if you are called infertile, know that this is not your body fighting you. This is your body telling you something.
Yeah.
It's your body protecting you from something, communicating. So listen to it. Don't fight it. Don't force it. Listen to it. And the label, my favorite, like my non-favorite label, is unexplained infertility.
Mm,
This is not a diagnosis. I hear that all the time, unexplained infertility. This doesn't say anything about the limits of your body. It says about the limits of testing. It just
yeah.
means uninvestigated infertility. It means that whoever was diagnosing this didn't know what to do, didn't know what to test you, and they didn't want to use the words "I don't know." So
Yeah.
therefore, they use the words "unexplained infertility," which is so disempowering. But it just means unexamined.
Yeah.
So this is one of my areas of what I specialize in, unexplained infertility, because I'm known for leaving no stone unturned, and we will find what it is.
I love it. Sonia, thank you so much for the work that you do, the gifts that you give women, and just the hope that you're offering to them as well, because it is such a lonely road. And even though there are communities out there, and you probably have your own community of women, it's very lonely to be in that place when you want something so bad, but you can't seem to get to the finish line. So it just amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your gifts and can't wait to hear more success stories down the road.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been my honor.
You're welcome. You guys, this is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, don't forget to subscribe, follow, rate, review, comment, share, all those good things. And I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.